If your open rates are low, it's not because your subject lines suck, it's because you've trained your audience not to care. So, how do you retrain them to care again? I made a big change in 2022, and since then my open rates have more than doubled, but it didn't happen because of better subject lines. By the end of this video, you'll see email in a way that you probably never have before. What if the real reason they don't open your emails is you? I used to only email my list when I had something to sell. That meant sometimes I would email a lot, 3 or 4 or 5 times a week, and then sometimes I would go a few months and they would never hear from me. I was training my audience that if I ever popped up in the inbox, it was because I had something to promote, something to sell, and I was trying to extract money from their wallets, and it completely destroyed trust. And every unopened email, it's not a failed tactic, it's a failed connection. Imagine, if you will, that you had a friend that only texts you when they need something. That's how promotional emails feel if that's all that you send. And that wouldn't be a relationship that you would want to stay in, would it? So what actually builds that relationship? Well, I'll show you what I did, and I'll show you how you can apply it to your business. There are two main ingredients that build that trust back over time. Number one is consistency, and number two is storytelling. When I started emailing daily, everything changed. Not because I was more strategic, but because I was more familiar. When I made the shift from inconsistent and promotional heavy emails into daily, consistent, story-led emails, everything changed in my business. And I gotta admit, I was nervous to get started. I had been inconsistent in the past, maybe a little too pushy with the sales and the promotions, and I was gonna make a total 180 shift into these story-based emails of things that had happened in my previous 24 hours. It could have been something with me, or my family, or my pets, or my parents, or my travels, or my dog, or things I was into. And I turned those stories into simple connection moments in the inbox of my reader. And over time, that consistency and that personal approach built a ton of trust, and my business really expanded. And then everything else got easier. The promotions went better, the open rates increased, the unsubscribes decreased. Every single part of my business that was successful, I could contribute back to a consistent story-based email approach. And if trying to come up with story ideas makes your mind go blank, I gathered up 202 of my best story ideas and I put them together in a handy list, and you can get it for totally free if you click the link in the description. So when people know what to expect from you and they look forward to it, open rates stop being the problem. But how personal is too personal? And I get it. Maybe you're worried you're going to overshare something in your life. And I gotta be honest, I'm really transparent in my emails, and pretty much nothing is off limits. But I don't share private stuff about my life or my health or private conversations I had with my wife or anything about my children that I wouldn't want on the internet. I don't share that kind of stuff. That's personal. That's private. That's not meant for public consumption. But other than that, pretty much nothing is off limits. I'll share about a big failure I had. I'll share about a big success or a fun trip or a big mistake or a client win or a client failure. I'll share everything because that's really what's going on in my life, and I have nothing to hide. And the more transparent I can be in those emails, the more trust that it builds. You don't need to expose your soul. You just need to be someone that they're familiar with and that they recognize. I was hosting an event recently and I met a person for the first time in real life. They were in my community, but we had never met before. And they were talking to me, just kind of, hi, how you doing? Welcome to the event. What do you think of Colorado? And they said, now, is Luke the one who plays football or is that Ben? And I thought for a second, how do you know 2/3 of my kids' names and how do you know their hobbies? And so I had a quizzical look on my face and the person said, well, you just wrote about it in your emails last week. And I thought, oh yeah, I talk about my kids every now and then in my emails. It's one of the topics that makes me me. And I do share some of that stuff sometimes of our trips and our adventures and what they're excited about and what we're working on and how I navigate parenting and entrepreneurship. And it was so touching to see that connection point between me and a person I never met before. In a way, the readers of my emails, they become part of my big narrative of what it's like to be me and run my kind of business and serve how I do. So when they open your email, they're tuning into you, and that's not marketing. That's relationships. So how do you start doing this? Well, I use a 3-part system. The first emails they're going to get after I deliver the lead magnet, which is why most people join my email list, I send them through what I call the Silver Platter Welcome Series. And email number 1 spells it out in crystal clear terms. I talk about they're not alone anymore. They're now part of a community of other people just like them working towards the same problem. And they don't have to struggle alone anymore because now they're with me. And I'm excited to help you. And here's how I go about doing that. And then I share with them how frequently I'll email. And most importantly, what's in it for them. Like, why does a consistent email matter to them? I'll share how they can get support if they're stuck in different levels. You can engage with me in this way or consume this kind of content or follow me on YouTube. And if you're really stuck, you can hit the easy button and reply back, and I'll just get this problem solved for you by the end of the week. That's email number 1 of my 3-part Silver Platter Welcome series. I'll put a link in the description, and you can go download the whole 3-part series totally free if you want to see how it works. After people have gone through my welcome series, they now get my consistent emails. Now, again, in my case, I send a daily email. I've done it for years. I'm never going to stop. So every day I'll turn up in their inbox with a daily dose of digital marketing motivation that'll help them get more leads and make more sales. And if you decide not to go daily, I understand. I just want you to commit to a consistent schedule. So if you tell them you're going to email them 3 times a week, then do that. If you say it's twice a week or once a week, I don't recommend you go less than once a week. But let them know how often you'll be in touch, why that's important to them, and then fulfill on your promise. Show up. And when you do, share helpful, honest, story-based insights. And again, if you're struggling with story ideas, then make sure you click the link in the description to get my list. And by the way, if you do send a weekly newsletter to your audience, there may be one more thing you need to fix. Just click the video on the screen and I'll share it right now. I'll see you there.